Now before I start creating the Ferris wheel, I'll need a backdrop. And the backdrop that I used was the boardwalk. And I'll choose this one. You can choose anything else that you like. So that's our stage. Now what I need to do is create a sprite. Now when I click on choose a sprite button or choose a sprite option, you'll see that several possibilities appear. And one of the possibilities is to paint. So what this means is I can now create my own sprite. And the sprite that I need to create is one that is a wheel or resembles a Ferris wheel. And so to start off, I will use the this option here, start with this here. And this is the option that will enable me to create a circle. So I'll choose that. Now before I get onto that, I will make sure that there's nothing, the fill has nothing in it, which means that the fill, I'm not filling anything inside the circle. So let's click on this, and if I click on this, a line appears, which means that the circle that I create will have an outline. As you can see, there's an outline here. It's red in color. So the circle will have an outline, but there won't be anything inside the circle. So I go in here and I'll create a circle. A circle has been created. And now what I will do is draw some lines to resemble the spokes. And what I will do is, just to simplify the whole exercise, I'll just draw some lines that run through the center. With these ones drawing the lines and so on, there's a bit of trial and error involved. So in this case, I'm trying to create a wheel that will have 8 seats attached to it. And the next thing I want to do is I'll use the square to represent the seats. And so I'll put that here. And what I'll do is I'll do a bit of copy and paste. So I want 8 seats. So I got 8 of those. And let's move them into position. Now that we have made a wheel, or Ferris wheel, or a structure that looks like a Ferris wheel, we have to make it turn. And so let's go to the motion blocks, and we want this to turn. So our first, if you can recall from the example that we saw earlier, we want the wheel to turn at 2 different speeds. And so let's go with the first option. And now if I click on this, the wheel is now starting to turn. The second one was at a slower speed, and that was set at 5 degrees. So I'll click on that, and I'll try and do both simultaneously. So if I click on this, the wheel is spinning slowly. Now one of the things that we want the wheel to do is spin by itself. So what will happen is I will go into the control set of blocks, have a look at the control set of blocks, and I bring the forever block in. And if I click on this, the wheel starts to spin, and it will stop when I press the red button. The red button is one of the built-in options within the Scratch program. So each time you press that, whatever's happening on stage will stop. Now, of course, we want to now incorporate a way in which there is a user input, which means that the user can decide whether he or she wants the wheel to spin, so the speed at which the wheel is spinning. He or she wants to decide whether the wheel needs to spin fast or slow. And for that, again, we will incorporate one of these blocks. So if a certain condition is met, then this is what the wheel will do. So this block is important. And then we'll need a similar block here. So I've got the two blocks working side by side. I also need a forever one in here. We have to bring in some events blocks. So one of the events blocks that we need is this. So when the green flag is clicked, there has to be an option where the system puts on screen a question so that the user can respond to the question. And in this particular case, what we are looking for is one of these. So here, the question, so instead of what's your name, I'll type in a question. The question is, do you want the motor speed to be fast or slow? The motor speed to be fast or slow. Now in the real world, it's a motor that drives the Ferris wheel. So in this particular instance, we are assuming that the scenario is relatively the same. You could quite easily say, do you want the Ferris wheel to spin fast or slow? It will still do the same job. So we have a question in here. Now, once the user responds in a certain way, then the program should either go to this block or go to this block. So basically in the sequence of steps, once the user has responded, then the next thing is, okay, what do I do with this response? So if the user comes back and says, I want the motor speed to be fast, so he or she types in fast, then what does the program do with it? And at the moment there is nothing in place to make the program respond. So what we need in here is one of these operators. And I'll put the operator block in this space, and then within the operator block I have to put this, because it's actually responding to an answer, so I'll put this in here. So if the answer is fast, then the program does this. Now likewise, I'll bring this in here and do the same thing. So essentially put in an operator which has an equal sign, it goes in this space, and then we have I need to have the answer block. The answer block goes in there, and if the answer is slow, then that's what the program should do. So now let's test it. I'll press the green flag. So do you want the motor speed to be fast or slow? Let's type in fast, and the motor starts to spin. Now let's stop it for a moment and go back to the question, press the green flag, and let's go with a slow. And as you can see here, the motor turns. The speed at which the motor is turning is different to what we had in the first instance. Okay, I'll stop this and I'll go back. Remember I said we'll put a triangle here, because you can't have a spinning wheel in the air. Remember, this is a representation of a Ferris wheel. It's not the real deal, I suppose. It's something that is virtual. So we have to build in a structure. You may have an axle that runs through here that connects to a motor, and that's how the Ferris wheel turns. So that's the scenario in the real world. And now I have to bring in another sprite that looks like a triangle. So I'll go back here, click on paint, and I need a triangle, and draw one line, draw two lines. Now the outline, this is an outline, so let's see if I can change the color of the outline. Try slightly different color. Okay, it's gone blue, and let's do a fill. And so we have the triangle in place, so that's the second sprite that we made. Let's get back here, codes. Now as you can see, the triangle doesn't go anywhere, and therefore there's no codes. So the triangle doesn't do anything, it's just sitting in that place. I'll click on this and we'll put some birds, and I like the the parrot. So let's click on the parrot. The parrot goes in here. Now as you can see, the parrot is quite big and we want to make it smaller, so I'll change the size and it's become a bit smaller. I'll do a duplicate, so I've got a few parrots floating in the air, and if I want to change the size of the parrots, like it's looking too big, I'll change that to 30. So that's a parrot in the distance. So those are the parrots, and we might want to now put some people in this as well. So I go back in here and get a Nina. Now this is a Nina. The sprite's smaller. Well, if she's that tall, then obviously the parrot needs to be made smaller still, and hence there it is. So now if I press this, it comes back and it gives me the opportunity to respond. And as I said, you can have a capital F or you can capitalize the whole response, won't matter. And if I click this, the wheel is spinning.